Australia's housing debate has become increasingly disconnected from how young Australians actually live. The political conversation keeps focusing on discouraging investors, limiting tax incentives, reshaping who owns housing. But very little attention is being paid to the reality that millions of younger Australians still rely heavily on rental housing. And not just temporarily. For many, renting is no longer a short stepping stone between university and home ownership. It is now a long-term part of modern Australian life. Hello everyone, I'm Kate Hill, and if you are ready to build real wealth through smart, no-nonsense property decisions, you are absolutely in the right place. So let's get on into it. Today we're going to look at why young Australians need affordable rentals, not policies that discourage the investors that they rely on. The biggest blind spot in the current housing policy debate is this. Young Australians do not just need affordable homes to buy, they need affordable homes to rent. Because before someone can save a deposit, obviously they need a stable housing, manageable living costs, financial breathing room. And all of that becomes almost impossible when rents consume huge portions of income. If rents continue rising because rental supply tightens, then many young Australians will find it even harder to save for a deposit. You cannot realistically tell people to save aggressively, build wealth, prepare for ownership, while you are simultaneously allowing housing costs to consume more and more of their income. A lot of housing commentary right now casually assumes that younger Australians should simply stay at home longer, delay independence, sacrifice mobility, put life on hold while saving a deposit, if that's actually what they want to do. It completely ignores how people actually want to live. A lot of younger Australians value independence, shockingly. They want flexibility, they move around for work opportunities, they travel more frequently, they work remotely, they change cities and lifestyle much more often. Not everybody wants to live with their parents into their 30s simply to compete in an increasingly distorted housing market. And frankly, I don't think they should have to. If you are finding this helpful, then please hit subscribe. I share a lot of strategies and insights to help you grow long-term wealth through exceedingly smart and thorough property investing. So current policy settings are also quietly pushing investment demand towards, maybe not so quietly actually, pushing investment demand towards newly constructed housing on the outer fringes of cities and regional corridors. But again, this assumes everybody wants the same lifestyle. A lot of younger Australians, they want to live near where they work, near transport, near universities, near lifestyle precincts, near friends and family. The reality is that many newly built housing estates are located far from employment hubs and established infrastructure. Affordable housing is not simply about the price of the dwelling, it's about commute times, transport access, lifestyle, social connection, employment opportunity. Housing policy can't ignore these realities, and yet they do. Australia already has one of the tightest rental markets in decades. Vacancy rates remain critically low across much of the country. At the same time, population growth remains strong, household sizes continue shrinking, single-person households are increasing. All of this creates even greater demand for rental accommodation, something that the government is completely ignoring. And yet the policy response is to make property investment less attractive. That is the contradiction, because when investors delay purchasing, step back entirely, reduce portfolio growth, rental supply tightens even further. And when supply tightens, rents rise. The people most impacted by that are often the exact younger Australians the policies are claiming to help. Another reality that policymakers are ignoring is the rise of rentvesting. Many younger Australians have accepted that they don't want to actually buy exactly where they want to live initially. They rent where they want to live. They invest elsewhere to get into the market and grow their wealth. For many people, this has become one of the few realistic pathways towards ownership, if that's actually what they want to do. But under the proposed taxation changes, future investors face reduced tax advantages, higher effective capital gains tax outcomes, and much greater uncertainty. So even the strategy that younger Australians increasingly use to try to get ahead is being made less attractive. One of the biggest problems with current housing policy is that it still operates on an outdated model of Australian life. The old assumption was finish school, get married, buy a house, young, stay in that location for decades until you've paid it off. That is no longer how many Australians live. It's not how they want to live. Today's workforce is more mobile, households are smaller, careers are more flexible, remote work is widespread. People change cities more often, relationships form later, lifestyle preferences are more diverse. And yet housing policy still largely assumes that everyone is trying to follow the same traditional ownership path from the 1950s. That disconnect matters. At the end of the day, Australia's housing affordability problem remains overwhelmingly a supply issue. The real problems are restricted land supply, slow planning approvals, infrastructure bottlenecks, labour shortages and rising construction costs. The same things I'm going on about week after week. Discouraging investors does not solve any of those. It simply risks reducing the supply of rental housing at the exact time younger Australians need it the most. Those young Australians absolutely deserve a better housing future, I think, but that future requires more housing supply, more affordable rental options, more flexibility, more realistic pathways into ownership, if ownership is what they want. Not policies that discourage the very investors currently supplying most of the rental market. Because until supply improves meaningfully, punishing investors will not make housing cheaper. It will simply make renting even harder. Thank you for watching, everyone, sticking with me through all this. If you're serious about building wealth through smart and well-researched property decisions, stick around. There is a lot here to support your journey, and I will see you in the next video.